What's going on, everyone? It's Justin here, and today I've got a video talking about a phone that I would consider the best one that I never reviewed. So you guys typically see me review phones throughout the year, whether it's Android, iOS, and for the most part I cover pretty much every major device. We're at the press events, the initial hands-on, and do the full review and just comparisons and coverage of these devices. But one of which that I've wanted to check out since its release late last year is the Huawei Mate 20 Pro, and I've just heard nothing but good things about this device. Huawei never sent me the device, and although I'm totally fine with going out and getting devices myself, it was just a very busy time of year and I never got around to it, but on the back of my mind, I just kept wanting to try it for myself and see what it was like. So after using the Mate 20 Pro, I will say that this is like the dream phone when it comes to hardware. I know a lot of times people are putting together their wish list of things they would like in a phone, and I feel like for the most part, this phone comes as close as it can. You've got a big, beautiful display, nice hardware that feels very familiar, good build quality, a very impressive battery life that for once actually kind of blows certain devices out of the water, and that alone is a very good reason to get this phone. And also reverse wireless charging, which is one of those features that I feel like no other device has actually tried before. Being someone who's lived in Canada my entire life, there's always that painful feeling whenever something is released in the US but not in Canada, but this phone is actually sold in Canada and not officially in the US as of now. So when it comes to design and build quality, Huawei's done an excellent job in their past few smartphones, the P10, the P20, and now the Mate 20, and this device is large, but it still feels very nice in the hand on everyday use. If you guys want to protect the mirror back from fingerprints and scratches and add a nice look to your phone, then dbrand sells some customized skins for this device, and I'm going to leave a link down below. This phone has a 6.4-inch QHD Plus resolution screen, and this screen looks excellent and it leans towards the vibrant side, but overall I have no complaints of that, and I like the fact that it also wraps around the edge similar to what you find on the Note 9 and S9. The notch design on the top is wide, and I think it is the good orientation. I don't like it when the notch is too small and kind of dips down into the device, kind of like the Pixel 3. But this one on the top has your appropriate 3D depth sensors as well as your front-facing camera, and you can turn it off as well. And with the screen being 6.4 inches, if you really dislike the notch and want to cover it and just have the black bar on the top, you really aren't losing that much. The in-display fingerprint sensor, on the other hand, is part of the first generation of ones that we've seen in late last year, and I will say it does work pretty well, but could definitely be better, and I'm sure software will be a factor in improving that. Another thing that you might notice is an IR blaster on the top for your TV, and there's just not many devices nowadays that have that, but I'm someone who definitely should use it because I lose my TV remote all the time, and one time I lost it for 3 months and it turns out it was under my mattress. I also really like that one side of the device is completely seamless, and although I'm normally not a fan of having the volume and the sleep-wake button on the same side here, they actually color-coded it here with a red button, which makes it easier to distinguish the buttons between each other. I would have liked to have seen maybe like a gridded texture on the sleep-wake button though, to make it even easier to distinguish when you're not looking directly at the phone. The battery life of this phone is also something that really caught my attention initially, and I'm someone who normally hears claims of great battery life and never really takes them with any grain of salt, because I've managed to drain every single device that I've ever used in one day. On my main smartphone, I easily average up to 8 hours of screen on time, which means I have to charge it around halfway through the day, but this device was actually one of the first that was easily able to last through an entire day of full use. You've got a 4200 mAh battery in this thing, and with kind of the tapered off design on the front and the back, it actually feels very thin and light. The claims that you hear out there of crazy battery life are definitely true, and many people have claimed actually getting 50% of battery remaining even on a full day of use, which in this day and age for some reason is still something that not many devices can actually achieve. Part of that could be thanks to Huawei's very own Kirin 980 processor that they've made specifically for their own smartphones, meaning that they're likely more efficient. Another great feature that I think is cool, although it is not something that you're going to use every day, is reverse wireless charging. So this actually serves as a wireless charging pad, so if your friend runs out of power and bugs you for a power bank or something, or you want them to call the Uber on their phone because their phone's out of battery and make them pay for it, then you can enable reverse wireless charging, and it serves as a Qi wireless charging pad where you just put the device on the back and it will start charging that right away. Nowadays, most flagship devices at this price point have great displays, have nice build quality, so I don't really feel like that's an advantage that this device has. It is very good in that category, but I think where it really does have an advantage is the battery life and the camera. So when it comes to cameras, Huawei teamed up with Leica once again to make a 3-camera setup on the back, and instead of having them vertical, they're all in the middle now in a square, and they've kind of brought together the best of every world when it comes to cameras. Some people prefer telephoto, some people prefer wide angle. This phone has all three, including a 40 megapixel sensor, a 20 megapixel wide, and an 8 megapixel telephoto. The photo quality is also very good. There's a variety of modes that you can use for different scenarios. The low light is impressive. And there is also a pro mode to control different settings to your liking. This has definitely become one of my favorite cameras on a device just because of the versatility. As for 4K video recording, I think Huawei's definitely improved a lot in this category over the years, and it looks very good, but nothing crazy. I think the photo quality is impressive though. As someone who mainly shoots photo on a smartphone though, I think they've nailed it in that department. There's just so many modes in the camera, including slow motion, panorama, monochrome, AR lens, light painting, HDR, time-lapse, filter, 3D panorama, watermark, documents, and underwater. If that isn't enough, you can also download many more as well. So now onto one of the biggest shortcomings of this device, and that is the software. I just personally wasn't really a big fan of the software, the icons, the layout, and although I'm sure a lot of people will be just fine with it, I'm just personally a bigger fan of Oxygen OS or stock Android, and that was a big factor as to why I installed Nova Launcher. In the past, I used to do it to every single device, but recently I've been a little bit more selective with it, but I do feel the Huawei Mate 20 Pro is a device that does take advantage. But I do feel like the Huawei Mate 20 Pro is one of those devices that could really be fixed with Nova Launcher, and thankfully because you're on Android, you're able to customize the experience. The Kirin 980 processor developed by Huawei on this phone is stupid fast, it works very well, and although most flagship phones don't have issues with lag and reliability, I feel like there are some advantages to Huawei creating their own processors for their device. So software is definitely my biggest complaint, but I think with Nova Launcher you've got an experience that is pretty close to stock Android, and definitely a big improvement from out-of-the-box software. So overall, I think this phone is definitely worth the hype, and I can definitely see myself wanting to use this down the road if I switch over to Android, and I just think the overall experience of nice display, good build quality, which is very important to me, paired with an insane battery life and a great camera setup with a wide telephoto and a standard high megapixel lens, kind of comes together to bring an experience that will threaten the smartphone industry moving forward, especially in the Android world. I'm overall very excited to see what Huawei brings out in 2019 in terms of some new features and things that we don't see in every phone, but I'll see you guys in the next one.